whether or not we are getting feedback from the speaker again.
Okay.
Someone's phone is buzzing.
Goodness.
Yeah, it sounds pretty static on Discord.
Yeah, it sounds like crap on my end.
Avatar is online. The wedding, oh dear.
Give me a second. We're gonna have things.
The guys on Discord sound better than the guys in the room.
Alright, let me double check my microphone, see what the heck is going on.
You probably have it hooked up to the
yeah, that's probably what it is. Give me a second. That's what it is. Okay.
Oh, connect those little pathetic camera mics.
Yeah, it is. I hate these things.
Okay. Here, I'm gonna try on a different
There we
device
go.
so that
Okay.
Discord is not gargling my sound.
Is that better now?
That is much better, actually.
much
That is
better.
amazing.
Oh man.
Do you mind checking YouTube and making sure that our audio isn't coming back through in a feedback loop? Because Discord and my mic are both here in the same presence.
All right.
Alright.
Maybe I should just pull it up on my phone.
Yeah, you could have just done it on the phone with headphones or something.
You think I carry headphones with me over here?
I take headphones with me almost everywhere.
Yeah, seriously, who doesn't, right? That's just like a weird answer.
It's like asking a chemist not to bring a vial of acid with him.
Right?
The chemist always has a vial of something acidic. Okay.
Yeah, we're not savages around here.
You are a savage.
Sounds like no, but, just leave it on channel just for a second. I'm gonna try turning up their sensitivity.
Mike, are you okay?
Yes.
Appears to be.
Okay.
Yeah, it does sound good.
Okay. Alright, looks like we're good, guys.
Yep, we're ready.
Alright, Jack, you got your stuff with you?
I did.
Someone's here.
Say what now? Oh, wait, that's you.
Tyler Long.
Oh, Tier Loner. That's
Yes.
That is Ezra.
Oh. Of course.
Because reasons.
Will you stop saying that?
Because reasons.
Reasons.
Because reasons. That's
Right?
the only reason why we say it, is because reason.
Yes. Alright, I'm popping out chat on YouTube so we can go ahead and keep an eye on that. Hello, Tier Loner. Thanks for the subscription, yada yada yada. Do not acknowledge your presence in the game. Okay.
Are you smiling?
Me?
No, I'm talking to Samantha.
Oh.
Was it a problem
Are
for
we gonna get Samantha to actually sit on your lap and roleplay her character this night, or is she just gonna sit and listen?
She has utterly refused to ever play her character.
That's very sad, you know? I mean, this is like the one
I
game...
made a character for her
This is
and
like...
everything, and she refused to play it.
This is like the
Oh,
one
yeah,
game
you
where it
bought
would
me
be
dice.
the most wonderful for her actually to not have to be roleplayed by a dude.
Yeah. So, babe, will you roleplay your character just tonight? No.
You're so cruel, Samantha.
What? She can't hear you. I have you in headphones.
Oh.
Oh, so...
So everything I say, she doesn't really pay attention to.
Oh, that's typical lady, I guess, but...
Wow.
Okay. Well, we'll see where it goes tonight. Maybe I won't do the wedding tonight. I don't know. We'll see where it goes.
I mean, you just advertised it in the title.
Yeah, I
You really
did.
did.
But we'll see how far you get.
Alright,
True.
so we just got to the part where I took Samantha out of the room, out of the library of her girl talk, and really had a sit-down conversation with her about a wedding.
Okay.
I dropped the dice. Drop the flipping dice!
It's just a matter of can I reach it? Yeah,
Okay,
just barely.
found it. Use the force, Carl.
You must use the force.
Oh, I've never heard that one before. Okay, kudos to... We will like give a conglomerately signed autograph from everybody if someone can tell what two science fiction movies that reference just hit. Ezra can't
The
say what
Shadow?
it is because I know what it is.
Yep.
What?
The Shadow.
Nope, it's not.
The Shadow.
Okay. Alright, this is gonna get irritating. I gotta get my hair fixed here quick. This is getting annoying.
Hmm.
Did you score your history science? Yeah.
Why is your hair so knotted?
Because you keep going from the top to the bottom.
So I got a question for you guys.
What's up?
How many clerics does it take to screw in a light bulb?
Clerks?
Yeah.
Clerics. Or clerks?
None. They pay somebody to do it.
Nah, it just takes one to uphold the light.
Oh my god. Bad joke, Sam. Oh, Bob. That's just dumb. Jack.
That was good.
Okay.
So we are live right now, right?
We are live.
Yes.
We have been live ever since we tested the audio. Okay.
Oops.
So, that being said, roll call. Thane.
Lord Skipper here. Lord Thane Ross.
Jack the Ripper.
Semi here.
Am I here?
Oh man.
Ezra.
Fritz Barnaby at your service.
Carl.
Here.
No, it's
Carl's like that cat in the background.
Wow, I'm not like that.
Yeah, I know.
Well, when Thane isn't here, we have to insinuate it in different ways. Okay, that being said, we are here, everybody. Thank goodness. Okay, so last time I believe we left off.
Just told you where we left off.
Ezra, with the background noise, you might want to go to push to talk.
Okay.
If you can handle that.
Is this still really bad?
Yeah, I can hear dishes clanging, and I can hear Mom talking to Isaiah.
Okay.
I can't hear nothing. And I have you in headphones.
All of that background noise is Ezra.
I have.
Okay. Let's see.
Oh, I stepped outside.
Is that
You gotta hold it down longer. Think of a walkie-talkie.
all right?
Yes, that works fine.
Okay.
Okay, let me divide my dice. So, the last time we left off, Thane had officially asked Samantha to marry him. She said yes. It is
Huh?
getting on.
What? I'll be right back. Sorry.
That's okay. We're gonna die here from background
What else
noise.
do you need to know? I know you got that in your ears.
Okay, now
Alright, I'm going to push talk.
Oh, okay.
I throw an acid flask at the background talk.
Lethal damage. You can now take an inspiration dice.
All right.
Lose the ability to completely talk with all players.
Okay, so there are some new rules for the game, and this is to encourage proper roleplay of your characters until you guys do it so naturally that it's not needed anymore. But this little thing that we're adding in temporarily as a side rule is the more in character you remain, not holding conversation with anybody else, just staying in flow with the story and role-playing your character, the more often you will be allowed to roll an inspiration dice along with your attempt to do certain things. So, let's say that you have a situation arise where a conversation pipes up. The better you stay in conversation without breaking it or saying, hey, can I do this? The more likely I am to slide you a D10 or tell you you have an extra D10 along with your next roll or whatever you want to apply it to. You would have what I'm going to call an inspiration dice. This is also going to flow in with any bard inspiration in the future. We will add it into the skills. Inspiration dice will now be a D10 added to your D20 roll for certain things. Everybody cool with that?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Looking at you, Carl. Okay. That sums that up. I gotta really work on my catchphrase.
Jabu Carl.
Yeah, I'm struggling to catch it with a fish line.
Yeah, it's that being said. Alright. Let the game begin. So as the evening begins to come to a close, the sun starts setting, everyone is slowly gathering back at Ross Manor. Thane has finished his conversation with Samantha, and everyone is informed by the butler and or the housemaids that dinner will be served in the main hall. Or in the dining hall.
So where are we? Where are we at?
You
We're
are
on
in
the dining
library
hall.
with Samantha. Or not Samantha. Leona.
Like where is this at?
Ross Manor.
Okay, I just had to remember first.
You just said so!
You didn't say anything about Ross Manor.
Did I not just say everybody is at Ross Manor?
Well, we got to Ross Manor last time, so yes, technically we would still be there.
Okay. I didn't remember where we were.
Okay, go back.
Good job.
I mean, if we magically TP'd somewhere else, I mean, that'd be pretty crazy.
Okay.
Now, you know what? I'll do you guys one better. Why is Groth's Manor?
Go away. Just go away.
Actually, that's kind of in character for his character. Just kind of insane. Just making weird comments. Inspiration dice, Sam. You get the first one. Even though that one was a little cheesy, I'm going to give it to you. Okay, so, Sam, you're in the kitchens. Food is starting to be taken into the dining hall. Various characters start arriving into the dining hall from various parts of the house, and all of you find yourself at a long, luxuriously laid out table of food, feasting, and wine, and you all sit down. Thane, you have some information to share with the rest of the group.
Well, guys,
please do tell.
it looks like my father's still alive, and apparently he's been secretly coming back to the manor the entire time, or somewhere irrelevant. To be honest, I don't care where he's been. I hate that he kept his life a secret from me.
Well, you know,
And
secrets are good for people sometimes.
well,
What has
been
he been
training
doing?
a lick of nothing. He's been traveling the world under the alias of the Black Crow. Right.
Everybody roll a d10 for knowledge on the Black Crow.
10 and a 5.
I have an 8.
It's gotta be a 10.
Okay, so Carl, because you're from the far east, in the wastes of snow and whatnot, you don't know so much about the Black Crow.
Okay.
But everybody else, literally, upon hearing that, their forks stop midair and they turn to look at old Lord Ross sitting at the head of the table, who just sitting here kind of hangs his head and he's like, Thane, I thought we were supposed to keep that, a secret.
Well, kind of like you kept the secret that you're alive this entire fucking time. But everybody comes.
The stunned silence across the room is palpable as
Wait.
everyone is just totally enthralled. From your memories, old legends throughout ages past have talked about a long withstanding conflict between two characters of great good and great evil. One is the Crow, a evil, sinister, shadowy presence that comes in the night and ends lives and changes the course of history through assassinations and death and espionage. Sometimes even simply delivering a note with information that changes a peaceful world into a world ravaged by the horrors of war.
I like this.
The Black Eagle, the source of good in the world, has always been his arch nemesis. And they have been at each other's throats for what appears to be a millennia now. What the heck was that?
That was hilarious. That's what that was.
It's the Black Eagle cat.
Apparently Vegeta was squeezing the life out of Goku in ape mode.
Whose Discord did that come through?
That came through mine.
Thane, you get a negative inspiration dice. That's sober, exciting moment in the story, and also
It was funny.
and I'm
Well,
like,
wait a minute. He gets a negative inspiration. Does that mean I can try tying him across the table?
you
Whoa,
can,
wait, whoa.
This just got awkwardly sexual.
No, I use my whip.
That
okay.
doesn't make it better.
All right, let's get back into character now.
Oh.
Here.
Okay.
Wait, enough, I'm interested now.
All right. So now all of you are, though slightly confused.
From the weird squeaky noise.
Though
I'll
some
stop,
of
I'll
you are
stop,
slightly
sorry.
confused because the legends of the Crow and the Black Eagle go back for ages, some people have long since theorized that the Black Crow is multiple people. So you all turn to Lord Ross with your questions.
So glad they're not looking at me.
Yes, I know. You all have questions for me?
Not you, your dad.
John-
Old
Why
Ross.
the yeah?
So my lifelong hero of choice is across the table at the head. What?
Old Lord Ross looks at you, Barnaby, and he dabs his face with a napkin, picks up his glass of wine, and he's like, "So glad that I could inspire you, young man," and sips his wine.
I really don't like the way you did that.
Do I need to give you another negative inspiration dice?
I mean, you can.
Seriously, dude, stop contradicting the DM!
At this rate, he's gonna be super easy to stop if he rides off again.
Wait, it's a negative inspiration, not a negative dex. So I
Negative
could.
inspiration dice is basically I tell you when to roll it, and you have to subtract that off your d20 to attempt to do something.
Whatever.
Yeah, you could die.
Oh dear. Oh, the bullet's coming from the sky. Try dodging it. No, you have too much negative inspiration. You're dead.
Asteroid falls from the sky. Thane pancake. Everyone cries in agony. Except for Samantha, who's like, well, I guess I can find another man now.
Wow, really?
I'm punishing him, I'm sorry. Okay.
I'm the worst.
Okay. So, yes, Barnaby, you are sitting across the table from your hero. Jack, roll a d20 for a fear effect from the Black Eagle.
All right, 14 on the die.
You're gonna want to roll that d10 in there.
+7.
Okay. The stare from the Black Eagle across the table slowly moves across each person as he's holding his glass of wine, and you're able to bury your face in a sneeze as he looks at you. Just because you want to avert his gaze. But you are able to avoid intimidation from the Black Eagle.
Yay!
You and
Okay.
your shady past have unwittingly drawn some interesting attention from higher eyes.
Quick question. Is the Ross Manor dealing out stakes tonight?
As you ask that question, the butler approaches the table and bends down next to you, and he's like, steak was on the menu, sir. Is there something you wish to request?
Something that isn't steak.
Wow, I see how it is, Barnaby.
How about hamburger?
Sam, FYI on the backstory, Barnaby's backstory is he has a phobia of all things to do with bovines, including beefsteak.
Ah.
Last week, he literally jumped out a window because someone set a steak down at the table.
Get
And
to
it was
know
my
yours.
steak, and I ate it.
Oh man.
That said, the butler, he bows and he's like, of course, sir. How about a fish on the menu?
That will do just fine.
Excellent. I will tell the cook. Everyone, about 20 minutes later, the appetizers of salads have been gone through at this point. And about 20 minutes later, number of dishes are brought into the room and placed down. Barnaby, the person
Yes.
right next to you is Jack Rydock. Jack, you have a steak set down in front of you, and you happen to know that Barnaby is terrified of steak. As you lift the lid and you realize you have a prime T-bone steak in front of you, and Barnaby has a fish in front of you, both of you slightly eye each other in the moment. What will you do?
Alright, which dice?
Say what?
You said you wanted me to roll something?
No, I just said both of you are eyeing each other because
Ah.
you know that Barnaby fears all things to do with steak. And you have a steak sitting in front of you, and Barnaby is sitting right next to you with a fish in front of him.
Quick question. How cooked is the steak?
It is a medium rare, pink in the center.
Is the butler still around?
Yes.
I lean in to him for a second.
The butler
And-
approaches you from behind and bends down to listen to you.
I ask him if he has anything a little less cooked.
He's like, I'm sorry, sir. Would you prefer flash seared?
Flash seared?
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically, to just flash the outside of it, and it's cooked.
Yeah. If you don't mind, sir.
He takes, my apologies, sir, and he takes the steak away from the table, and he, leaves the room for a little bit.
In that moment that he leaves the room, I'll go. I'll see if I could find a different place because the guy next to me, staring at me, I don't want to draw any attention, from him. So I'll find a different place to sit so I don't freak him out over it.
Okay. Roll a d20, and let's add your stealth to the table just to see if you can go ahead and pull off a maneuver without drawing any offensive attention from anyone else at the table.
Okay, I've got a 12 on the die, which I believe is a +1. I don't have the character sheet in front of me, but I'm assuming it's the plus.
Okay.
So 13 total.
You end up scooching your chair ever so slightly, and on the stone floor it just goes as you slowly edge your way away from Barnaby. Everybody at the table, except for Leona and Samantha, who are deep in conversation under their breath, at their corner of the table, turns and looks at you, including the the black eagle. And everybody just kind of stops with their glasses, their forks, their knives, looking at you slowly, just with your pants hat on your head and everything. Oh, I forgot to ask you, Sam. You were gone.
Yes.
Did John or anyone fill you in, or did you guys watch the live stream when we had to roleplay your character?
Not so much, but I am aware that I believe I threw out a fire arrow and killed some people.
Yeah, you blew up some people, you looted a body, and you took a guy's pants off his body, hung him upside down from a bridge, and left him hanging there in his underwear, and then proceeded to turn his pants, cut them off, and turn them into a jester's hat. And you now wear that on your head with the belt holding it tight up on your brows.
And the seagull's staring at me.
Mm-hmm. And everyone at the table is literally just hovering forks and knives in mid motion as this guy in a jester's hat made out of a pair of pants just goes with his chair just ever so slightly farther away from Barnaby.
Out of curiosity,
Well,
are you
on that
trying to call in some geese? You're doing a very good job.
That was not a fart, as I proclaim loud.
Everybody at the table breaks out in laughter as the two of you bantering back and forth with your jokes laughs. And the Black Eagle, he smiles and he's like, it's been a long time since I've seen a person of your character. do something funny.
There's a reason for the pants on the hair.
You're on my good list. What is your name, fair jester?
My name is... As I think for a moment, to recall the name that I have put on the list.
That would have been John.
Yes, John. Good sir.
And that, as you say that across the table, the monk, John Ryadock, his character, he looks and says, "I'm also John, but we call him Jack so we don't get confused." And everyone looks at the two of you, and everyone just smiles and chuckles again. And Lord Ross says, "So, tell us a joke, fair jester."
Well, there was this new broom that's been in the papers. Did you hear about the new broom in the papers?
And the Lord Ross, he sips his wine. He's like, "No, I did not. Tell us
it's
fair broom in the papers."
It's sweeping the nation.
Roll a
Wow.
roll a charisma check. D20 plus charisma.
Not so much. That's a 9 on the die.
Do you have any charisma?
Person's over there by the.
Probably a +1 at best.
Yeah, that's where she comes in here.
It's on your sheet. What does it say on your sheet?
Well, it technically says 0 since I don't actually have a sheet with me. I came with the least amount of preparedness except for die.
Okay. As you're sitting there and the joke kind of hovers in the air, no one gets it. Newspapers aren't a thing.
I am going to take that joke and sweep you under the table with it, my friend.
Roll a charisma check, Barnaby. Utter silence.
That is a 35.
How much charisma do you have?
18.
Holy macaroni. Okay, well, I hit 30 with 2 d20s. So, that being said, everyone breaks out laughing very hard. And Lord Ross is sitting here with his glass, and he's like, "Oh, I get it! You're the straight man! He's the jester!" And turns to Barnaby, and he's like, "You two are amazing!"
I think you could say.
Go ahead, Thane.
I'm going to, after the joke's done and everybody's done laughing, I'm going to intervene with talking to my father. Do you remember where Mother put it?
I don't know what you're talking about.
The ring.
You already got that out of the
vault.
The vault.
The vault.
Pretty sure you did that last
Did I?
week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah.
Or maybe you didn't even check. Yeah, it was like the last thing you did last week. Or your dad told you it was in the vault, in a secret compartment. You already talked to him about it last week. Maybe you didn't go get it, but you do know where
Yeah, I'm just gonna leave the room in search of it.
Okay.
Of the secret compartment.
Okay. As you stand up and you move away, the butler approaches you from the side, and he's like, "Could I help you, sir?"
You can help me search for this secret chamber in the vault.
He's like, "Oh, very good, sir. Follow me." He takes you upstairs. The table is left dining and feasting. Barnaby, you go ahead and roll a chance for fear at the table. I presume you're gonna try to resist fear, just from having so many stakes at the table.
Yes, I.
Okay.
I am.
You're gonna try to sit there, enjoy your fish, and everything. Roll a d20.
Yep, I am at 17.
I'm gonna go ahead and give this to you, I guess. I rolled a 17 as well. But, you sit there and you're able to get through the entire meal. But, you're sweating bullets the entire time, and your fork is shaking. But you're able to resist the urge to run from the room.
I hope no one finds my actions fishy.
You're horrible.
Well, there's so much at stake here.
Oh my goodness.
You two are awesome.
Actually, he's not. I just am.
Oh, yeah, this is true. Samantha, you're the brains behind
They
the
also
entire
let
thing.
us pick up.
Okay.
Oh man.
Samantha cannot hear any of you. You all are in headphones.
That's okay. It's okay.
Y'all should be playing a video game.
He's doing game night over live.
Okay. Can we continue?
I thought my
Yes.
Okay. So you're taken to the vault. It's on the second floor. Tucked away in the back of the manor. You had to travel through a various number of halls lined with marble pillars, statues of old Ross family members long gone. But the door is unlocked by one of the butler's keys, and as you go inside, you find yourself looking at piles of scrolls, books, suits of armor that look, like they're totally only for ceremony, made out of plated steel with gold inlay all over them and jewel-encrusted weapons. You find yourself looking at whole stacks of chests with jewels, and all divided into various little compartments of type and size. And the butler, he goes just walking right on past it all, and he goes to this little panel on the wall with some inscriptions on it, and he reaches up and he starts pressing certain letters in the inscription, and when he finishes the sequence, a stone off to the side just pops out of the wall, and he twists it to the side and slides it over, and here's just this little compartment that has the true actual treasures of the vault, and inside you see a small little container with that ring that you're looking for.
okay.
The ring is in view, right?
Yes.
Alright, well, I'm gonna
We're gonna
approach the compartment, and I'm gonna
go
reach up and get the ring.
Okay.
And then I'm going to take it downstairs, and I'm actually going to walk outside and sit down next to the house and ponder.
Okay. So you've left the table. Your steak is only half eaten. Everyone's kind of notices your missing presence. But by this time, everyone kind of knows that you just like to go off and be alone all the time. So they're just gonna, hope that you're not riding off into oblivion this time. And continue eating your meal.
I'm going to ride off into oblivion!
Okay, where's my mount?
I'm joking.
Okay. So, at the dinner table, the Black Eagle is sitting here, and he's like, well, since my secret's out of the bag, and Thane isn't here to object, I propose a story. Who would like to share a tale of epic proportions?
I take a step back.
Oh, I've got this.
Alright. So, roll a d20, Ezra.
What is this for?
Just give me the number.
6. 6.
Okay.
Be right back.
You can come up with the tale as you please, but you're not allowed to use any of the characters here at the table.
Very well then. So it was a grand fine afternoon, and this band of weary travelers named Frank, Ernie, Bert, and Blake all arrive. They sit at the table, and Blake sees a tarantula on the table. He is scared of tarantulas. He's so scared, in fact, that he runs out of the tavern screaming until he lands face first, hundreds of feet outside of the city, inside of a pigsty. In this pigsty are a great many giant boars. And with these great many giant boars, they all wanted to eat Blake because they're also man-eating boars. You see, they were for a special gladiator arena. So he makes a valiant fight to get out of the pigsty. As he's doing so, his 3 comrades take a minute to realize what just happened. Actually, I take that back. It takes them more like an hour to figure out what just happened. And then they finally realized that their friend ran out of the tavern because of a tarantula. And so, one of them, the one that did not have anything to eat or drink, that would be Ernie, went off running to save his friend, while Bert and Ernest were sitting at the table, still blissfully unaware of anything going on. So, as Ernie is running to the rescue of his friend Blake, Blake makes many a magnificent jump over Boar and underneath Boar. He is covered in mud. Finally, Ernie comes in, throws in a smoke grenade, and blinds all of the boars. The boars get really mad and blind. The smoke is so bad, in fact, the boars have to hurl, and then they pass out. Ernie finally is able to get out of the pigsty, but he's covered in crap. I mean, it was a really crappy day for him already. This just made it worse. But in any case, the farmer of the pigs comes out, and he says, it appears you have gone into my pigsty, and as a result have gotten yourself full of garbage. Don't worry, I'll clean you off nice and good. And he escorts Ernie into the into the bathroom, where he has into the bathtub. And once he has done so, he closes the curtain and then pulls a lever with a gigantic mass of acid dropping down on top of Blake. Blake is so squeaky clean that when he walked out to confront Ernie, Ernie swore he could not recognize the man. And then, finally, on their way back to the tavern, the 2 nincompoops that had stayed behind decided they were going to go off running on their horses. Blake decides he's going to chase after them. And he does so with his trusty whip and his trusty arrowhead. Don't ask why it's just an arrowhead and not the full arrow, because reasons. Finally,
as you say that little note on the side, Lord Ross is, yes, of course. He's very into the story, and he's leaning forward with his glass of wine now.
So, he pursues his 2 drunken comrades. Ernie is famished at this point, and he decides that he's going to go and order half a dozen eggs. As he does so, Blake continues to pursue his drunken comrades. The first one he is able to tie up with his bullwhip. Unfortunately, he only has the one whip, and the other friend is still escaping. So, he continues chase. And I should point out that he takes out Bernie first. So it is, let's see, who was it now? Ernest, yeah. No.
Oh, Ernest, okay.
Let's have Blake, Ernest, Bernie. Is it Bart? Yes, it was Bart, I think, was the fourth one. He's still running off. Blake sees that he has no hope of catching up to Bart. Bart is a much more skilled horse rider than he is. But Blake still has the one trick up his sleeve that no one expects. And that trick is the flying fish of Vancouver.
The Lord Carl, he's leaning across the table and he's like, the flying what?
Oh, yes, the flying fish of Vancouver is I can tell you more about it later. It's an old wives' tale from my lands. Very old, in fact. But in any case, he takes the flying fish of Vancouver and he sticks the arrowhead in its mouth, pointing it out. He throws the flying fish so that it is able to knock down the water tower. And he knock it down in a certain way where the water tower is able to block the pathway of his comrade. And because the water tower is so tall and Bart's skills are only in horse riding, but not exactly in horse jumping, he runs face first into the water tower. The horse ends up being a pancake, and he recovers his second drunk comrade. Drags them both back to the tavern, where they get baths, food, and wine, because they can't drink anything but wine for very specific reasons. And they all live happily ever after, especially with the ultra bleached Blake.
Okay, roll a performance check. Use your charisma.
That is a 28.
You're lucky. Okay. So your tale goes over with some great applause and everyone claps. Thank goodness there aren't many good bards in the area that your party has met before, because otherwise that total story would have been utter hogwash. But no pun intended.
After all the clapping and everything's died down, I pipe up with, my hand raised and everything. I have one question. You mentioned a shower in the beginning, right?
A shower?
Yeah. Whenever you got all muddied and everything.
Oh, yes.
Did you say it was an acid shower?
Yes.
I'm going to have to talk to you about that later. I'm very interested.
Oh, man.
Well, after your story, everyone is sitting around the room enjoying their wine. They're just slowly, settling down and resting for the evening. The hearth is starting to burn down, food's been taken away, and everyone's just sitting at the table, enjoying the peace and quiet of a restful evening. Thane, goes back to you. Would you care to come back into the house, or are you going to contemplate some more?
I'm gonna come back into the house. I believe I need to gain more knowledge if I wish to be more successful in the future in this campaign. So I would wish to go to the library and see if I can't increase my knowledge at all.
Okay. As you head into the library, some of the folks in the dining room are getting up and moving around, and they see you going into the library. Roll a sense environment thing.
Me?
Carl.
I'm not gonna roll unless you say a 3.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. You're oblivious. You're enjoying sitting and drinking, and you've got Leona leaning on you, and you're just. I'm tired.
Sounds like me, really.
You're gonna be the illiterate chemist forever.
Yep.
So, you move into the library, and it's not quite as grandiose as the one back at your castle, but it's a pretty substantial room. There's a few thousand books in the room. Bookshelves are standing 2 stories tall. Imagine a room about 2 or 3 times the size of my house. That's what you're looking at.
All right.
Is there anything in particular you want to study?
Creatures, beasts, things of the sorts. Not necessarily religion, but God, what's the word? Anything to help increase my knowledge of the world and the fighting styles that are used.
Okay. I'm not even gonna have you roll against that. You find a whole section on beasts, adventurous combat. You start to realize that though you have not really paid attention to the contents of the library up to this point in your life, now that you actually do, you notice that your dad's library is literally outfitted for adventures. It's got whole sections on combat strategies against beasts, against other armies, against bandits. There's entire books with diagrams on dangerous creatures, dragons. There's an entire 4-foot wide section of the shelf just dedicated to study of dragons and all kinds of stuff.
Well, I'm gonna skip over most of that.
Okay. Anything in particular you want to look at from what you found?
I would like to find a specific area that helps me deal with long range attack with defending or redirecting long range attacks.
Okay. As you're looking over the shelf and everything, because John's not here to play with us, John ends up following you into the library, curious and interested, and he can't read. Well, he can't read the languages on the shelf, but he asks what you're looking at. What are you doing?
I'm looking for a book or a series that will tell me how to redirect or deflect long-range attacks on short notice and help hone my skills to deal with all very types of attacks.
Okay. So as you continue looking around on the shelf, John Ryadock ends up, randomly pulling books off the shelf and looking through them, and he finds, books with pictures and diagrams on stuff, but he ends up finding a book on martial arts, and he just goes and sits in the corner and studies the pictures and whatnot. He can't read the language text in that particular one. But go ahead and roll another sense environment to actually pick a particular book off the shelf that's going to help you.
1.
3 or 4 ones in a row.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. Don't even bother rolling. Any way you do it, you're going to tie with me. Or beat me. So you end up finding a book. It's titled The Art of Deflection and Defense, as per directed towards ranged combat and aerial threats.
Of the dark arts.
You just lost that dice there, Sam.
I already used it.
You get a negative dice then.
You know, I need to learn to when to, just be quiet.
All right, this will teach you.
Alright, well, after I read through that book, I'm gonna look for another book that deals with different types of people, merchants, hunters, beast tamers, just different classes that I could
Okay.
potentially fight against.
Roll a sense environment for that.
One second. Well, I rolled a 9.
It doesn't help you. Unfortunately, after going through the entire book...
It is a D10 that I roll, right?
Yep. I rolled a 10. So, screw you. Anyway, it's getting very dark.
And he knows how I feel.
The torches have lit the room. It has become hard to read in the torchlight, let alone, look for books in the library. And by this time, you're extremely tired, and you do not have the mental fortitude to continue looking for what you're looking at. Go ahead and roll a D4.
A D4 for what?
Just for the effect of your knowledge gain.
I rolled a 2.
Okay. Unfortunately, a lot of the techniques and tricks that you found mentioned in the book don't really help you out all that much. Most of the stuff that you have or found in that book you already know or don't apply to your type of combat because of the fighting style that you have.
Alright. Well, I'm going to continue that process of finding and increasing my knowledge throughout the next several days. And on that note, I'm going to have to sign off because I really can't keep going on this.
Okay. Samantha bugging you?
Not really. It's more the connection keeps going in and out, and the quality is not the...
Oh, bad Wi-Fi. Got it. Alright. Well, sayonara, Thane.
But I am going to complete that process to help gain experience boost and hopefully gain knowledge and an increase on my base defense or strength.
Okay. We'll see where it goes next week.
Alrighty. And at that note, I'll see y'all guys.
See ya.
Have a good night.
Okay, so he's gone. Unfortunately. Unfortunately, his character isn't designed for knowledge gain from book reading, so I don't think he's gonna go very far with that one. Moving back to the evening, Leona and Samantha have both been conversing and everything, and Leona turns to you, Carl, and she approaches you, and she's like, I was wondering, when did you want to plan the wedding?
I actually wanted to talk to you about that.
Okay. This is awkward, I know, but we're just gonna have to deal with it.
I know.
You're an introvert,
Yeah.
and that doesn't help.
Oh man, so man, I still don't even have a ring.
She looks down and she
But I
looks
still
at
wanted
you.
I still wanted to go clothes shopping because we never did that yet.
She's like, "Yeah, you got a point." And you don't have a ring yet? What's wrong with that?
I haven't had the time to.
Her little outburst draws old Ross's attention,
Oh man.
and he comes around the corner and he's like, "What's this about a ring?" And he approaches you and he just looking at the two of you, and Leona just kind of bashfully turns away. What are you doing? He's still holding a wine glass. This guy never
I
stopped
explained.
drinking.
that.
Explain it then.
Give me time. That the king is wanting us to get married to, because we can't actually stay in the castle together in the relationship that we are unless we're married.
And he's like,
And
oh, you're one of those couples. Just, oh, well, I see his point. Wait, you're planning to get married?
yeah.
He's like, oh, if that's the case, why don't we have a wedding then? And he quick turns and shouts, hey everyone, get in here! We're going to have a wedding soon. Sam, what are you going to do in response to this?
Oh no.
Into the sudden celebrations, I'm gonna go up to the chemistry set.
Okay, so your chemistry set is set up in the kitchen, so you're just gonna kind of delve into your chemistry.
Yeah, I've had my fill of specialties.
Okay, so you're just kind of avoiding the conversation. Barnaby, what about you?
Well, congratulate. Who's it for?
You come around the corner and you see Carl and Leona standing there, both kind of a couple in the short time that you have known them. You've seen them pretty close, and you realize that for the first time, you realize they're actually not married. You could just kind of assumed that they were.
Wait, so you two are not actually married yet?
Nope.
Leona, she just kind of turns around and she completely just blushes, and she's like, just kind of abashed at that it's the new people that she's been meeting are totally just, she feels the judgment.
Don't feel too bad. I still have to plan and actually have the wedding with my own couple, so...
As you're standing there, Samantha, she comes around the corner, and she's like, wait, we're having a wedding, like, soon? Really? And Lord
How
Ross...
soon?
Lord Ross turns to her, he's like, yes, we are. And he turns to you, and he's like, wait a minute. Didn't you say you don't have a ring?
I was planning now soon.
He's like, well, there's no better time than the present. You're an adventurer, aren't you?
I'm about to go get one.
He's like, well, and he switches hands with the cup, and he puts his arm around you, and he's kind of swaggering with his drink. You can smell the wine on his breath. And he's like, you happen to be at Ross Manor. We've got plenty of rings. Would you like to come check them out? Everyone else in the room, they're like, yeah, go check them. Let's go check them out. And everybody just kind of crowds
Totally
around.
do it.
Yes, and everybody just kind of crowds around. And he's like, off to the vault with us. And the butler, he comes, the key, sir. And he comes up as he's passing by, and he's like, oh, of course, here, take my glass. And
I'm
he's
guessing
like,
I don't have my own special ring for my family, or no?
No, you're a very single person,
Okay.
and you didn't even know your mother.
Lovely. Okay.
Yeah, just kind of a wild race of people out in the wilds of the eastern wastes.
Okay.
But you're kind of being dragged up the stairs by this big, huge, 2 foot taller than you guy.
Jesus.
Lord Ross is a huge fella. But he drags you up the stairs, and you literally have a crowded party going up the stairs, except for Jack, who's...
Is Leona still with me?
Yeah, she is.
Okay.
She's following behind. She kind of grabbed your hand, and she's holding your hand as you're being dragged along.
Okay.
But Lord Ross, he goes ahead and puts the key... He kind of misses the keyhole. And... Samantha, she reaches out and she kind of grabs Lord Ross's hand, and he's like, thank you. Turns the key, and the door creaks open again. This is the second time in one day that this old vault has finally been opened up. And you all, for the first time since you've actually been even though this is like the second time you've been and visiting and staying in Ross Manor, this is the first time you've actually seen this vault because you just never cared to explore the building, and let alone seeing the amount of treasure and valuables that your buddy Thane has access to. It might not have, surprised Thane all that much, but you're looking at what would take nearly a lifetime to accumulate as an adventurer. But old Lord Ross, he kind of, he leaves the key in the door, and he goes over to this little, like, bookshelf case with drawers and stuff in it. And he grabs one of the drawers, slides it out, and there's a table in the room set up to put things and look at things. Scrolls and whatnot are rolled out on the table, and torchlight is now lighting the room. But he puts out this tray of all these different little rings, and they're organized according to size and according to the gems and stuff that are encrusted into them. Go ahead, whoever just wanted to say something.
I know I'm not there, but I have a question. Whenever you say small, are we talking about hobbit size, or do they just readjust?
What when you say small what rings?
Yeah. Like, do they like shrink down, or is it like
Nope.
hobbit size?
There are no magical items that change their shape naturally in this world as of yet.
Okay, so no hobbits here.
Nope.
Good to know.
Okay. So, what are you trying to attempt anything in specific with your chemistry set?
Something that's not gonna get me killed.
Okay. You're just working on compounds and whatnot, just, kind of experimenting, and we'll see where that goes later. As old Lord Ross sets this tray of rings down at the table, he's looking at you and Leona. He's like, "Well, which one do you want?" And she's looking down, and Leona has a very rural background, and your countrymen typically are clothed and garbed in furs, leather hides, and stuff. And it was only once you actually came to the land of Go that you switched over and started dressing like the locale, and then getting an upgrade and starting to look like a dashing swashbuckler. Which, at this point, you really don't care because you always stood out, so you never really cared about standing out with your overall outfit. But as you're looking down, both of you are just kind of aghast at the jewelry and the intricacy of some of these rings and their designs. Leona starts, looking at some of the silver ones.
Okay.
Are you gonna do anything?
Well, I don't know what she wants though.
You gonna ask her?
I'm gonna ask her to see if she wants to try a few of them on.
Okay.
See which one she might actually like.
Okay. Lord Ross, there's this little thing at the edge of the box, and he slides it out, and he's like, "Hey, let's size you folks up." And it's got like it's like a long stick with all these little circles in it, and it's got like a hinge at one end. And he grabs your hand, Ross, and he just starts sizing up your hand until he finds that you're about a size 10.5.
Jesus.
And he's like, "Okay, the ones in this row will fit you."
Like, shoot, this is a 7.5.
You're a different guy in this world. You got
I
big,
know.
bulky hands from working with chemicals. Stop contradicting the DM.
I'm sorry. It's just
Besides, the size can be different in that world.
true.
So,
I'm sorry.
native inspiration.
For all we know, it's in micrometers.
Yeah, just be glad that you have a size that works for you. Anyway, Leona, she's sized up, and she's sized with a size 6.
Okay.
He's like, "Okay, well, these ones will work for you." "No, they won't. I'll need the other drawer." And he goes over and he slides out a different drawer. They're much smaller rings, and he slides those over to her. It's like, well, you get this row, and let's see here. He looks down and he kind of bends too close to the table. And he's like, oh, I forgot. Yeah, these are all the guys' rings, but they're so different shit. We have a lot more ladies' rings because ladies wear rings, and my wife was kind of an enthusiast. So help yourself. This drawer is the right size for you, and just slides it over to her. Leona, she ends up trying on all kinds of different things, but she ends up finally pulling out and really, trying on and looking at this particular one that looks like a little snowflake. The way all the gems and everything are kind of put together. It looks kind of like a snowflake, and frost has just reached around the silver ring.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Oh, man.
And you're sitting here, and through the rings that you have in front of you, you've got pretty much every color in the spectrum in front of you, but each one is designed in a way so that it reflects its color as it would be in nature. So if you're looking at a green ring, it would probably end up having gold around the gem, and it would end up having like leaves and vines etched and gem encrusted into it and around it. Blue rings have that strange texture that water looks like when it ripples in the sunlight when it's clear. There's another one that's encrusted with frost. It's not nearly as fancy, but it still looks like frost has reached around and,
Is there like a redder one?
There is a red one, and it's encrusted, it's rubies, but it's designed in such a way that it's black gold, but it's also the jewels, and there's some of them are just so small that it looks like flame is literally bursting from the center of the ruby around the ring.
That sounds nice. I'm pretty sure you can tell probably if I went with red because that's my gemstone.
Okay. Well, so you're gonna pick that one up, and you're gonna
see if it fits well.
Okay. It definitely does because it's in size sets that you already had predetermined would fit you.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah. So that one definitely fits you. Leona leans over and she's like, "Well, that's nice. What do you think of mine?"
And hers was a snowflake one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that one.
She's like, we're kind of contradictory, aren't we?
That's true.
Should I change?
Oh, man. Because mine's like a flame one. Hers is like a snowflake.
Barnaby, Sam, you're not here, but Barnaby, John, pretty much anyone can, pipe in at this point what they think.
Opposites
Just be careful you don't melt that delicate creature.
Opposites attract. Let's just say that.
John sits there at the table and he's like, well, I could tell you who's the hotter of the two with those rings on.
Wow.
And Leona looks up and she's like, I can't deny you there.
Well.
Okay. Anything else?
I think so too.
Okay. He's like, well, Lord Ross, he's leaning over and he's like, those were quite wonderful choices. I think they're brilliant. Barnes! Bring me my wine glass. Where are you? And I'm right here, sir. And the butler comes up and hands him his wine glass. And he's like, oh, you refilled it. You're such a wonderful person. You know that? And he drinks it down and he's like, I thought you just refilled it. What happened to it? And you guys realize that Lord Ross is just pitch butt drunk right now.
I gotta go to the restroom.
Okay. That being said, Barnaby, you're looking around at all the riches and wealth in this room, and you realize that even though your family is quite wealthy, you didn't realize how much value other nobles keep in store for themselves. This is kind of beyond even your family's large production.
I would expect as much from some family as noble and ancient as is.
Okay. Are you going to take interest in anything in the vault? I mean, this is the only chance you're ever gonna get, unless you ask, to be able to go inside the vault.
True. Quite honestly, I would perchance fancy one of the rings for my fiance. I mean, getting that taken care of.
He looks over and in his drunken stupor he's like, "You're getting married too?" Looks over at Samantha, he's like, "Are you the lucky girl?" And she's like, "Oh no, she's I'm spoken for. I'm spoken for." And what is your reaction to this?
Oh, don't worry, Lord Ross. No. She is not actually with us in the party at the moment. See, I travel the lands to be able to pay for this wedding. See, I'm actually an outcast of my family for various reasons, and actually that specific reason is her. So, I'm kind of in need of making ends meet until we can start a family.
He's like, "Oh, a noble cause. A noble cause for a noble family. That's wonderful. But you're getting married, and you said you wanted a ring. Do you know what size she is?" And then he stops mid-sentence, and she's like, "Huh. Size." And you realize this guy is totally drunk.
Oh, she's quite tall, actually. She's almost as tall as I am. But I dare say her hands are a mite smaller than mine.
Go ahead and roll a knowledge check. D20. And what's your knowledge stat?
So I have a knowledge stat of 1, and I rolled a 5, so that's a 6.
Okay. Let's go ahead. You're not going to get any buff to actually picking out the right size. But go ahead and roll a d20 to guess the right size, and I will not tell you the results. Run that off of your knowledge again.
14 total.
Okay. So you find a stack of ring. You go through, and you're looking at the gauge, and you're looking through the gauge, and you're like, "I think this one would probably fit her." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And he goes up into the bookshelf again, and he grabs out another drawer and sets it down on the table. He's like, "Pretty much any of these would fit that size."
Well.
Are you going to take a closer look at them?
Yes, specifically at any of the green rings.
Okay. Let's see here. You find 3 green rings in the entire chest. One is carved stone jade, and it holds a bit of a symbol encrusted with gold into it of a star on it. Another one is an emerald with a silver and gold leaves and vines branching out and swirling around it, with ever so slightly a couple of minute thorns branching out from it. And then finally, the last one is what appears to be a ring that has a green gem in it, and both of them kind of complement each other and look like leaves the way that the ring reaches around and turns into the gems.
Okay.
Which one are you going to pick?
I think I'll take the second one, the one with the thorns.
Okay.
I think it would fit her nice.
Okay. So you take that, and Lord Ross, he ends up, pulling from the shelf this little container to put the ring in. It's got a little lock on it, and he's like, "Well, hopefully she likes it." And then he stops, and he's like, "Wait a minute. What about you? You're going to need a ring, too." And he quick grabs the gauge and grabs your hand. Are you going to let him grab your hand?
I mean, sure, why not?
Okay, so in his drunken stupor, he grabs your hand and sticks the gauge on it. He's sitting here clamping it every time he tries to find a new size. Roll a dexterity save.
Okay.
That is a 22.
Okay, you're perfectly fine. You end up being just ever so lucky when he clamps it down, and he ends up finding the right one the first time. He's like, okay, and he realizes he's running out of space on the table, and he's like, okay, I need to put this away. And he picks up the drawers, slides them into their slots, and then reaches over and grabs another drawer. And this one only has like 3 or 4 rings in the entire drawer. He's like, believe it or not, you're actually my size, and so I actually, keep most of my rings elsewhere. But slides the tray over in front of you. Are you going to examine the different rings in the drawer?
I'll take a closer look.
Okay. There's... How many did I say were in the drawer?
4.
Okay. So, of the 4 that you see there is one that is a large ruby, and it looks like it has just some interesting geometric designs reaching around, just branching off from the gem. It's the largest of the, with a pile, and it's just silver with this large red ruby in it. There's another one. It's gold, and it has just a couple diamonds across it, with really no particular design at all. The last one, or the third one, is just a simple band, but it has some swirls and just some geometric, or I should say, just smooth arching and twisting, patterns reaching across it. Imagine like a pinstripe tattoo. That's kind of what it looks like on the ring, just etched into the gold. And then the last one is it's a black onyx gem in a gold and silver, looks like it's like kind of twisted together. It's a black onyx gem, and they just kind of look like they twist together, and they reach around and they hold onto the gem from both sides, kind of like 2 hands reaching around and grabbing onto it.
I would have to say that it would be the black onyx ring.
Okay. So you pick that one out, and you slide it onto your finger, and it fits perfectly. And so he's like, well, that was a good choice. I never did really care for that one myself. I'm not one for black. I wear so much of it. And he ends up, first time you look down at his hand, he's got actually 2 rings, his signet ring and a gold band with some white diamonds in it that kind of look like a frost pattern. But he ends up picking up another container, putting that in it, locking it up, and he's like, there you go. And he puts it down, and he looks around, anyone else getting married before I put these away? And no one ends up piping up just because. But he goes ahead and slides it back into its drawer, and he's like, well, I don't know about all of you, but I'm ready for bed. And at that moment, he's got his finger up in the air, and he just kind of wobbles back and forth for a second, and then falls over flat on the floor asleep.
Well, I will follow suit, and I will sit on top of the table cross-legged.
Okay. Carl, you, Leona, Samantha in the room. Samantha, she's like, is anyone going to care if I dig around and look around, do you think?
I mean, I think you should be fine. I will get off the table if you need.
There's plenty of room on the table next to you, but she goes over to the little cabinet. She didn't speak up before, but everyone kind of knows at the table that she's, there's issues with with the king, and he kind of wants her to get married too, but she just didn't pipe up for whatever reason. But she goes to the drawer and she picks out, a ring for Thane, and she hopes that it'll work for him. she does some guessing, but she ends up pulling out just a simple gold band out of the drawers, and puts it back in a little container, and she steps away too, and puts it back, and steps over the body of Lord Ross just sitting there snoring on the floor, and the butler, he's standing there the whole time. He's like, "You're fine. He won't care." I mean, he's doling out rings at the same time. Do you want one, Sir Monk? And turns to John, who's standing there, and John's like, "No, I'm good. I don't need earthly possessions." And they all step away. Did I just hear ice come out of the ice maker? Dang it. Stupid ice. Everybody kind of just leaves the vault. There, you do notice, as you're leaving, there are a couple of books sitting around.
Oh dear.
What do you do?
What sitting around?
Well, I can't read.
Thane,
So...
he notices a few books.
Carl
notices a few books in the vault.
Well, they're in the vault. They're probably kind of special, but even though I can't read, I think I'm gonna pick them up and see if I can tell anything from them, like any symbols.
Go ahead and do a sense environment.
3 again.
3. You end up finding one of the books. Appears to have a couple of people dueling on the front of it with swords. You hold it in your hands and you open it up, and you start to see diagrams, lots of pictures of sword techniques.
Lovely.
Yes.
So I can actually understand those.
You possibly could, yes. You could get a plus reading them or trying to decipher them. The butler turns to you and says, "Would you like to borrow that?"
I would, if you don't mind.
He's like, "You're more than welcome to. Just come to me when you're ready or finished with it."
Okay.
And he's like, "You're fine. He doesn't care at all. Honestly, I could rob him blind and he wouldn't care. But I don't because I love him." But
oh man.
The butler ends up getting John's help to lift up Lord Ross and take him out of the vault. Barnaby, are you going to stay in the vault, sitting on the table, get locked in?
Nope, I am going to go with them. Do I notice that Carl has picked up the book, and also, do I know that Carl is illiterate?
No, you do not.
Whew. Oh man.
Okay.
Leona turns to Carl as they lock the vault, and she looks at him. She's like, "Please not again." Carl is dying laughing right now. When he recovers, we can resume the game.
I just look at her with like a puppy face, like.
Don't die from laughter, Carl. That kills people, Carl.
Roll a d20 on your charisma.
13.
What's your charisma buff?
Oh man. Charisma of 10.
What's Leona's charisma buff?
She has a charisma of 4.
Okay, you are able to beat her. She's like, "Fine, but not tonight. Please, not tonight."
Okay, that's okay.
Okay. Barnaby, you do overhear this. Are you going to inspect?
Yes.
Okay. Pervy son of a gun. You overhear this part of the conversation.
Oh dear.
she looks at him and she's like, "Please, not tonight." And he just looks at her with these puppy eyes, like pleading silently with eye contact, and she's like, "Fine, just not tonight, okay?" And something within you that you can't resist, in this pervy sense of your mind, you walk over and you lean on Carl, and you're like, "What are we talking about here?" You can take it away from here, Barnaby.
Oh man. I'm just gonna be straight up on. I can't read.
Barnaby, are you gone?
Nope, I'm still here.
Okay, I mean you can role play this now.
Right. So, you have a book, but you cannot read it. Is that what I'm understanding?
Very true.
And you have had Fiona here, I'm assuming, has been trying to teach you, and she has failed miserably.
Yes.
Okay, in that moment, Leona also, first, you
Oh.
said Fiona with an F instead
Oops.
of L, which she took offense to that.
I didn't even realize
And
you said
then
that.
you say that she's been failing miserably at trying to teach you to
I
read.
just better say that.
And Leona, she just stands there, you leaning on Carl, and she turns to Carl and says, "Duck."
Oh shit.
Are you going to duck?
Yes.
Okay, Carl ducks out of the way, and before anything could kick in,
Oh, no.
your chivalrous attitude towards ladies, you can't stand avoiding her wrath, and she swings around and slaps you square in the side of the face,
Oh dear.
and then stomps off.
Oh dear.
You take 18 bludgeoning damage as you are completely knocked off your feet. You are not usually
Ow.
attacked and just take it, and your light, lithe, athletic form is not built to withstand a blow of this magnitude, even though it's from a young lady who's probably 6 years younger than you at this point. But you are literally thrown off your feet and you fall down the stairs to the bottom of the floor. You are now staring up at the ceiling as she walks over your, stunned body and leaves the room.
I must
Dang.
say, this is one of the most beautiful ceilings I have ever seen.
Thane, Carl walks over and he comes down the steps and he's holding the book and he's like,
I'm so sorry.
That is all right. I'm getting a little tired. And quite honestly, with all the festivities, I kind of lost my lip.
so,
I'm gonna go comfort her.
okay, so you are left at the bottom of the steps and...
Well, I'm gonna help him up.
Okay, so he helps you up and then he goes to comfort Leona. You're left standing there with a nice red, slightly purpling mark on the side of your face already, because she held nothing back at that moment and just wailed on your face. You also might have a loose tooth. You're not quite sure, but you got a tender
Jeez.
tooth in your mouth.
She slapped the hell out of you.
That's what you get for misspeaking of two women and about them, too.
Yeah, you gotta watch it, especially around Leona. She's got a temper.
Yeah, she
And
does.
she picked the blue ring with the snow?
Yeah, she picked a silver ring with a white snow diamond in it.
Oh, it was white. Okay, never mind. That makes more sense.
So, anything else for you folks? You just gonna comfort her?
Pretty much.
Okay. So, go ahead, Barnaby.
I think I am going to actually, now that I have the rings, I am actually going to consider riding off into the night back to my homeland for a while.
Okay. want to leave the party. I mean, traveling to your homeland would have you out of the game for probably about 2 weeks.
That is true.
I mean, you could present it to the party in the morning that you travel to find your love.
That is very true. I will contemplate it tonight, but I will go to sleep and recover my health.
Okay. Well, everyone goes to sleep, and
Is she in a better mood now?
she's in a better mood after not having to look at Barnaby the rest of the night.
Wow.
Everyone gets up, find breakfast. The butler is a very observant fellow, and he made sure not to sell a breakfast or serve a breakfast with any bovine attachments. And so everyone eats. Lord Ross gets to the table late, and he's literally standing in his nightgown. Gets to the table, doesn't even bother sitting in the chair, just picks up the plate and just kind of shuffles back out of the room and goes to his room.
That sounds like me. When they make dinner at my house, I just kind of come out, make a plate, right back to my room.
Sam, go ahead and roll a d20 for your chemistry experiments. Sam, are you even there? He's probably playing Ark or something in the background, not paying attention. Bad joke, Bob! I don't know where he went. He's gone. He's
Discord isn't showing up anything.
Yeah, he's still in Discord, but he's not doing anything. Well, since he's gone and he decided to leave the table or leave and not take part in what everyone else was doing, we'll say he did not succeed with anything. So sucks to be him.
Probably fell asleep in his chemistry set.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm back.
Oh, he's here. Oh, thank you.
He woke up.
Okay, so you fell asleep at your chemistry set, and nothing really came of it. You were tired. You had wine. You just kind of zonked out.
Okay.
Everyone's waking up for breakfast, and you find yourself sitting down at the main table again with the party and the butler there to serve everyone, but no one, Lord Ross is not there, and Thane is just sitting at the table silently eating.
That's rare.
Did I notice that he was particularly drunk?
Lord Ross or Thane?
Lord Ross.
Lord Ross is suffering from a hangover. You can observe and see if maybe you can sense environment that's what's up.
Alright, I'll go with that.
A D10.
That's gonna be an 8 on the die.
Okay. Knowledge check.
8, 9. 1 second. 14?
Okay. You're not very observant, but you do, from his overall demeanor, you can tell that with all the drinking that went on last night, he's suffering from a pretty strong hangover.
Okay, I'll try and think of something to help with a hangover.
Okay. Go ahead and roll a knowledge check on your D20.
Same as last roll, 8.
Okay. You happen to know a simple concoction of regular kitchen devices. You could probably go to the kitchen and make it right now, even without your chemistry set.
Okay, I'll go ahead and do that, and once it's done, I'll bring it up.
Okay. So you make it, and you ask one of the maids where Lord Ross's room is, and she, guides you there, and you knock on the door. And you hear just a grumbled, "Oh, yes, what is it?"
Yes, sir. I noticed you might have a pretty bad hangover. I wanted to present you something to help.
He's like, he's like, come on in. And you find the door is unlocked, so you can just walk in.
Yep, I'll I'll present it to him. Here you go, sir.
Okay. You bring him a cup with some weird liquid. It's kind of thick and it's got some milk and some herbs and whatnot in it, and it's overall should help him. But you just set that down at the desk where he's got scrolls and stuff lit up, and then you notice his room is filled with all kinds of papers, pictures, drawings. There's threads moving all over the place, connecting different pictures and papers. It looks like he's been tracking and studying something for quite a long time.
Oh, well, I hope your hangover feels better. Real quick, before I leave your presence, mind what's going on with all these papers?
He looks up and he's like, "Oh, well, that's my." He gets up and he leans back as he's drinking it, and he coughs and he's like, "I thought alcohol was strong," and he forces the rest of it down, and he sets it down at the table, chokes for a second, licks his lips, and then takes some water and washes it down with that. And then he's like, "This is me and my attempt to track down my arch nemesis, the Crow."
Ah, the crow, huh?
He's very evasive.
Have you ever encountered him before?
He looks up and he's like, "Only once, but he got away. It was quite the fantastic duel, actually."
How did you fight him last time?
Last time I was using a sword and a shield. Since then he's a little too lithe to be able to use a shield, quite honestly. And I found myself quite outflanked too many times, and so I took up the spear in hopes of being able to counter him. But I haven't seen him since.
Avoidance is often the best defense.
And he looks at you as he's eating his breakfast and says like, "You're here."
So, with a name like the Crow, does it go in line with being kind of flighty and, invisible-ish?
He says yes, he is a rogue of intense stealth and training. But the Crow is more given to him because of his purpose in the world. He seems to prey on situations that have already been dealt and make the best of them. He never really kind of incites them himself.
Well, it's been in my experience the best way to flesh out a person of that kind of caliber is always to have other connections. People who don't mind talking about presence, as it were.
He sits at the table and he sips his water and he's looking up at all of his stuff and he's like, "This is true, but with my reputation, having connections like that has been very difficult over the years without endangering myself and my family. I did it once, and I lost my wife because of it."
Is that why the guild?
Say what again?
Is that the reason for the guild? To hopefully track down the Crow?
Which guild are you referring to?
We are in a guild, right?
Yes, you are in a guild.
This one specifically.
The one that you're in, he's like, "I haven't heard much about your guild, but from what I do know, you're actually in charge of hunting down the Crow's Fist. And yes, by all that I can calculate and guess, he serves them or works with them in some way, shape, or form."
Well, I've taken up too much of your time. Hopefully the drink will help,
He turns to you and says, "It's helping already. Good man, you."
Very good. But like I said, I've taken up too much of your time. I'm sure I'll see you around. I'll be in the chemistry the kitchen, pretty much. If you ever need.
He's like, maybe tomorrow morning if I get a little out of hand again tonight. And chuckles.
Sounds good. Hey, you have a good morning.
You leave him to his studying, and you join the rest of everyone back at breakfast again. You can do what you like now.
Yep.
Still don't have a dress for her.
Barnaby, are you gonna want to do anything else?
Oh yes, that's right. Pardon me, everybody, but I have a bit of an announcement to make. You see, in light of last night's occurrences, it has occurred to me that I can now, finally, do what I have set out to do from the very beginning of my life as an adventurer. I wish to return to my homelands and find my fiancée and finally bring her along on all of my adventures as my wife.
Everyone at the table sits and thinks for a moment. Thane, do you have any input for your character? Or are you just gonna sit there quiet? And Carl, sorry. From your character, I'm horrible at names.
I'm just gonna sit there quiet.
Okay. Leona, she pipes up and she's like, "Well, that's wonderful. It's so romantic. I don't know. Should we go? I mean, let's all go. Keep him safe on the road and, throw a big party for him."
Oh no, that's not necessary unless you really deem it so.
Sam, is your character gonna pipe up at all and say anything?
Not so much.
Okay. Across the table, John, he's sitting here contemplating, and he's like, "Well, I was kind of hoping to visit the Hall of the Spirit Dragon. It's a little ways away. Where does your fiance live?" So, at this point, give me kind of a region or backstory as to what kind of area your fiance lives in.
Okay, so basically, she lives in the same general area as where the Barnaby Mansion is.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the size of the mansions, there's actually a forest between them.
Okay.
And so when the cow trampled the chicken, it was actually in that forest area. They both had gotten the cow out of the pasture, the chicken out of the run, and the backstory element ensued. So again, rolling country, but she's in the same general area.
Okay.
And as far as I'm aware, she's still in the family mansion.
Okay. So it would take you about just as much time to travel to the Hall of the Spirit Dragon as it would to travel to your homeland or your home area to the east. The Hall of the Spirit Dragon is slightly shorter distance from your home area than it is to travel to the Hall of the Spirit Dragon. So both of them are east of you, but one's to the north and one's to the south. Hall being the north.
So his area is somewhere down here.
Pretty much, yeah. So it comes to you. Do you? With that, John, he's sitting at the table. You see, I sent a letter to the hall and asked for a master to come to Vargland to set up a new monastery there, but he hasn't replied. And I heard that one of the villages near the hall was attacked by bandits, and only 3 survived, one of which recently died, Lucy. This is referring to the young girl that died in that attack in the woods a few weeks ago. And he says, Is it possible we could head north first and then head south to your lover?
That would be a possibility, yes.
He's like, okay. Well, that would be my vote. Samantha is in favor of... She pipes up, and she's in favor of heading directly to your fiance. Leona does not pipe up with an opinion beyond what she's already said. I can't honestly play for Thane. Sam,
I have no
what are your
clue.
ideas? You've been pretty close to John for this entire time, so...
Alright, and John is in favor of going.
Yes, he's in favor of going to the north to haul the Spear Dragon first, rather than heading straight south.
Alright, let's see. What would it take for a knowledge check on the plant life on the way there?
Okay. What do you get out of D20?
Very low.
Okay. Unfortunately, this region and its plant life is very different from Vargland, so you're not going to know pretty much anything at all about the plant life either area.
Alright,
Though I will say this, the area to the north are mountainous regions, and you used to live in areas near mountainous regions.
okay, so I might be a little bit familiar in that area.
Yes.
Yes. I'll pipe up as, ask, I'm totally along for tagging along and everything. Does anybody mind if we stop every once in a while for the plant life?
And everyone turns and they're like, I don't see why not. I mean, we don't travel at a very fast pace. It's not economical.
I mean, I must say that some of the flowers are top-notch where we're going.
Alchemically, or as far as, aesthetic?
Both.
John pipes up and he's like, there are some interesting plants in the North Mountains, trying to persuade you to head north as well.
Looks like I need to pack.
Okay. So how soon do you think everyone will be leaving? Do you want to try to leave today? Since you're adventurers, you don't really unpack your loads of stuff. You can just hop up and run. Carl's just sitting here across the table, completely not taking part.
I mean, I would be in favor of leaving ASAP. I mean, let's be serious.
Okay. That being the case, everyone is still sitting here kind of contemplating. No one's really pushing their opinion towards one location or the other. It's kind of split evenly. But at that moment, the butler comes in and he's carrying a small shred of paper. And he turns to Sir John, and he hands it to him. He's like, a message for you, sir. It just came by hawk. And he picks up the message, and he can't read it. He's not familiar with the language in the area, and so he hands it to you, because he doesn't know you don't know how to read it. And you take it from him.
Oh dear.
Leonis to the next of you, or you could just pass it on if you wanted to.
I look at Leona, I give it to her like...
Leona rolls her eyes and takes the shred of paper, looks down at it, and she's moving her mouth a little bit. Yeah, she can read it. She can easily read it. It's... she looks at it, and her face turns pale as she does so. She's like, it's from Prince Eric. They stopped at another village in the mountains on the way to the Hall of the Spirit Dragon with the other two monks. He says everyone's gone. And he's suspecting that something terrible has happened. They're going to wait for us to reply, but he wants to know if we will come and join him.
I go get my fire arrows and crossbow.
Okay, so you're getting ready to pack up and head out immediately. John is extremely distraught, and he gets up and he's ready to go. He's gonna start getting the horses ready. The rest of you are sitting at the table. It's up to Barnaby and the girls and you, Thane, whether or not you're going to, or Carl and Thane, whether or not you're going to split or you're going to go with them at the summons of the prince.
I'm not good with decisions, dear Lord.
Barnaby, Thane is indecisive. What are you going to do?
Carl.
Carl's indecisive.
But Carl, we got to kill people.
Barnaby.
Yes, I understand. This is a tough choice because on the one hand, I can get this over with, and then we will have another party member. But on the other hand, this might be a time-sensitive thing.
I asked John, is this? I'm assuming that this isn't normal for the temple. There's usually somebody there.
John turns to you and he's like, no, it's not normal for everyone to disappear. Everyone lives in their villages almost entirely their entire lives. Most of us don't travel. I'm an exception because I'm an outsider.
I say let's just go to the temple first, see what's going on.
Carl ends up piping up, Monroe ends up piping up and saying, I vote to head north immediately. It's down to Barnaby. Everyone else, it's you, Barnaby, and the girls.
So, seeing as what is going on, I secretly had sketched out something on a piece of paper. I fold it up and I pass it off to the butler, and I whisper to him to send it on its way to the recipient ASAP via a very special eagle.
And he bends over and he says, unfortunately, the only bird of prey I have is the one that delivered the initial message. But we do have the pigeon delivery service, if that will suffice.
A pigeon should do, as long as it's able to make it in good time.
Yes, of course, sir. It will be delivered as soon as possible. Does it matter if I copy it down to make it more sizable for the pigeon?
Perfect. It shall be fine.
He's like, very good, sir. And he bows and he approaches one of the maids, and she takes the instructions and hands it off to her, and she leaves to go deliver the message. Go ahead and send me that in email or whatever if you want to keep it secret. Otherwise, just pop it in Discord.
Sure.
Beyond that, you've sent a message. Are you going to talk to the rest of the people there about what your plans are?
Yes, I shall go.
You blacked out there.
Yes. Well, yes, I did. I have it toggled on a goofy key. Anyways, yes, I shall join you all on our quest to discover what is going on with this Hall of the Spirit Dragons. It does not sound natural.
Okay. So, you all stand up. Samantha and Thane both agree with you. And Thane, though quiet and unusually quiet, seems to be contemplating something and keeps putting his hand on his pocket. Samantha and him, everyone saddles up their horses, and Lord Ross, he comes downstairs reading a book, and he looks up and he's like, oh, where's everyone going? Samantha, Thane. Thane doesn't like to talk to his dad, as has been his character so far. And then Barnaby are all standing there. Barnaby, you're pretty much the most charismatic of the bunch, and Carl's an introvert, so... The question is being asked, where is everyone going?
Right. I do beg your pardon, sir, but we are all going to be heading out on our way to the northeast. There is a matter that has recently come up, and we must attend to it as quickly as possible.
He's like, oh, what's going on?
Well-
Where exactly in the northeast are you going?
Well, you see, sir, there is this thing called the Hall of the Spirit Dragon, and you might be familiar with it, but essentially, it has been the areas around it, which are usually heavily populated villages, have recently lost all forms of life, and it has become very unsettling.
He's standing there for a second. He turns a page to the back of his book and looks at some papers and reads it for a moment. Immediately closes the book and walks away. He's like, wait 15 minutes, I'm grabbing my armor. And he goes into the library, and you hear a bunch of gears and pulley mechanisms as the library wall opens up and he heads down into his lair again. Shortly later, out in the stables, everyone is getting their horses ready and mounting up, and the back of the stable opens up, and out comes the black crow in his, or not the black eagle, and he's wearing brilliant silver armor, carrying a long tri-forked spear. Imagine one single blade and then two blades coming off to the side at an angle. Kind of like the peace symbol, but as a weapon. And he's riding his horse with a spear and a banner, and he's got full plate armor and a small shield on his back, just in case. And he rides out on this brilliant white, polka-dotted, kind of black and white horse. And he's like, he turns to Jack and he says, you know those situations I was always saying sometimes lead to our friend popping up?
Yeah.
He's like, this is one of them. I have a good feeling about this.
Good to know.
And he pulls his horse forward and he's kind of riding around, and he looks at Carl and Thane. He's like, well, who's leading the charge? You're all up on your horses now.
Quick question.
I just took off.
Before we...
Let's go. Oh, no.
Go ahead with your Sam.
Possible to visit the supply store?
Everyone was in their packing and everything. Everyone was able to find, what they needed pretty helpfully. The butler supplies everyone with various things that he's kept on hand with the family's adventuring past. So max out your supply.
Okay.
Everyone is up full HP, and full supply. Anything else?
Looking into something maybe poisonous that could be coated onto an arrow.
Thane,
Carl.
Carl, in the midst of saddling your horses, you mention it to out loud. What do you?
I got poison potions.
Carl has poison potions.
Little vials you can attach or put on the arrows.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. How many of those do you have?
I have 5 vials.
5 vials? Are you gonna just hand him a few?
Yeah, I'm gonna hand him 3 vials.
Okay, you get 3 vials of poison that you can use to coat arrows. One of them will coat a dozen arrows.
Good to know.
Okay.
Do I have any kind of protection on the arms available?
You do not currently. You could talk to the others about it on the road, but everyone is in kind of a hurry to
Yeah, absolutely.
get set up and go because this is a summons from the prince. The butler, he comes out as you're all mounting up on your horses, and he says, just to let you know, I sent a message to the prince, letting him know you're on your way.
Okay.
And you look up in the sky, and you can see the hawk flying off to the northeast. And he also hands you this little piece of paper with coordinates on it that he hands to Lord Old Thane Ross.
Okay.
And he looks down at it, and he's like, "This was on the back, you say?" And he's like, "Yes, sir." He's like, "I know this village." He's like, "All right." And he pulls out his map quick. He's got a little, pulls out a
Okay.
map and shows it to everybody. He's like, "All right, we need to go about here," and points to this spot. Going to be at the foot of the mountains, at this little spot right here on the map. It's just on a road from Tetland to the Hall of the Spirit Drag. It's a pretty straight line, but
literally just a straight
yeah,
line
pretty
there.
much. You are going to have to curve into here because this is the actual location. But you guys can't see the map on Discord. But he's like, he holds up the map and he's like, we have about, if we book it, we have about 7 weeks of travel to get there. But we should be there soon. Darned if I don't know. He thinks for a little bit. He's like, darned if I don't know how they got there so fast. And he's looking down at his map, and he's like, well, maybe they just want us to meet him there. And he rolls up the map and sticks it back in his pouches. And everyone else, ready to go? No more issues, questions, etc.?
Yep.
All right. In that case, everybody roll a d12. Everyone is booking it. Take a +2 on that d12 roll.
Can I ride on somebody's horse with them?
11 and
Or
a
like,
You get a horse provided for you.
Yeah, we have extra horses too.
Yeah, you do. 11 and a what?
A 6.
6. Both
What was that roll for?
Distance traveled.
And that was on what?
A d12.
I rolled an 11.
Okay.
Alright.
Barnaby.
I rolled a 3.
Okay. All right. Everybody overall has rolled pretty darn high. We have like 3 11s, an 8, a 9. The one from John and another 11. So, I'm sorry, but everybody is just so darn high with their rolls and everything that you end up making it all the way there. The horses are exhausted, but you make it there without contacting any other enemies in the situation. As you, it has been, instead of 7 weeks by horse travel, it has been about 6. You've been really booking it.
Oh, wow.
So, yes, you've traded out your horses once or twice at small towns when you could. Some towns didn't have enough fresh horses for you, but you were able to book it pretty quick. As you ride into the town, Carl and the old Lord Ross are leading the charge into the town, and as you get into the town, you see perched up on one of the houses is a set of eagles. 3 eagles, just huge, monstrous birds of prey that you've never seen before. But,
Hey, Joey, I gotta get going. I gotta sign off.
Okay. Have a good night, man.
You as well?
Okay.
I did send you the letter.
Okay, sounds good. On email?
No, I did through Discord.
Okay. In that case, I think this is a good spot to close it up for the night. We did get started a little bit late, but we are at just over 2 hours, and I kind of want to keep everybody as
Together, yeah.
close together as possible. So we'll have you riding into town, seeing these eagles.
Sounds good.
Anywho, have a good one, folks.
Hey, good. It's been a good night so far. Y'all have a good night.